Okay, we're going to start. Welcome to the June 25th Bennington Community Policing Advisory Review Board meeting. I'm Kate Cost. Currently, I'm chair, and I'd ask the members to introduce themselves. If we could start at the end.
Lydia Winter.
Tom Kelly.
Mark Phillips.
Jeff Vickers.
Scott Frost.
Jesse McFarland.
And I'm Ed Woods. I'm the town select board liaison to the Cparb.
All right, thank you. The first order of business is for reorganization, where we elect the officers. I'd like to entertain nominations for chair.
I nominate Kate Cost.
I second.
All in favor?
Well,
Yes?
any more nominations?
Any more? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Any more nominations? That always helps. Okay, no? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? Well, it's hard to know. I can't be at all places at all times. All right. All right, thank you. I'd like to nominate Jeff Vickers for vice chair. Can I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are there, I did it again. I apologize. Are there any other nominations? No? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None?
Thank you.
Abstaining? No. Okay. And I'd like to nominate Jesse McFarland for secretary. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any other nominations? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No? Congratulations. Or condolences. But thank
Both.
you. Thank you for serving. All right. And then I'd like one of our new members, Mark Phillips, to read the town vision statement.
Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, and resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life.
Thank you. And then I would like to have a motion for consent of the agenda.
I make a motion we accept it as written.
A second?
I second.
Any discussion? All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. And no absentations, all right. And then we'll have approval of the minutes for the members who were here at the last meeting.
I haven't had a chance to read
So
them.
moved.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moved, okay. Can I get a second? Okay, yeah, because there's only 3 of us who were there at the meeting. All right, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And that's all the people that were here, because we had 3 people missing. All right, thank you. The minutes have been accepted. We have please keep your, thank you. Clark, you should know this. We have no public comment, so we'll move right along. I'd like to do the police department update. And while Chief is coming up to the podium to do that, I would like us to accept a compliment that is part of your packet. This was on behalf of the students, staff, and administration of Bennington Elementary School, thanking the chief and members of the Bennington Police Department for taking time to join us for our field day and school barbecue celebration. This is from Bo Alexander Sr., Bennington and Woodford Hollow Elementary Campus Safety Officer. He states that your presence helped make the day even more special for our students. We greatly appreciate the continued support that you and your officers provide to our school community throughout the year. Opportunities for our students to interact with local law enforcement in a positive and engaging environment, help build strong relationships, and foster a sense of trust and connection within our community. A special thank you for providing ice cream for the students. The kiddos absolutely loved it, and it was a highlight of the day for many of them. Your generosity and willingness to go the extra mile brought plenty of smiles and added to the excitement of our end-of-year celebration. We are sincerely grateful for all that you and your staff do for our community. Your commitment, professionalism, and dedication to serving and protecting the residents of Bennington make a positive difference every day. Thank you again for spending part of the day with us and for your continued partnership and support of Bennington Elementary School. We value our relationship with the Bennington Police Department and look forward to working together and welcoming you back again next school year. So you've already got something on your agenda for the Copsicle, I should say. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I want to welcome Tom Kelly and Mark Phillips to the Community Policing Advisory Review Board. It's great to see some people step up, and I'm also pleased to have the rest of you remaining in your positions so that we can hopefully finish our training and start again with others. So I am not known, if you don't know me, I am not known for my brevity. I will ramble on, so I'm not answering text messages or emails. I'm paying attention to the time. So I sometimes I get very excited and I want to talk, and I know that for the most part you all want to listen, but I've been reminded that I only have a certain amount of time, so I'll get right to it. So. Lots going on here in Bennington, and we have a lot of special projects going on. I want to just, I'll start out by telling you we finished our Buckle Up Vermont campaign, commonly known as Click It or Ticket. We try to take a lighter approach to that here, and we call it Buckle Up Vermont. We don't like to threaten people with tickets, although, people do receive, and we don't call them tickets either. We call them Vermont civil violation complaints. And this year, our campaign was very successful, and we also received accolades from the state of Vermont after they reviewed our stats from that campaign. And I am pleased to tell you that Lieutenant Grandy was a big piece of that. He served as a person that was responsible for different counties and getting their data and submitting that to the state of Vermont. So we're very proud of that. It's all things that I used to do when I was a lieutenant. I miss that, and I think that we do make a difference in promoting the wearing of seatbelts, making sure that people have their children properly restrained in car seats, and that children are properly restrained in their booster seats. Nothing drives me more crazy than to see somebody drive by and their 4 or 5-year-old child is standing up and woo, doing that. So, Lieutenant Grandy was a big part of that, and the members of the Bennington Police Department really did a tremendous job getting out there and enforcing motor vehicle laws and car seats and seatbelt violations. So we're pleased with the response from the state as well. So I just want to bring you up to speed this spring, and as we enter the summer, lots of requests for Copsicle. As you know, we are very community-oriented here. We are going to be adding to our Copsicle trailer a popcorn machine. We've had recommendations to add a cotton candy machine. We don't have the wattage or the voltage or whatever to add a cotton candy machine at this point because our generator is not that big, but some folks have asked for a different alternative other than something sugary, and so we've taken a look and we are going to add a popcorn machine to our Copsicle trailer. So stand by for that. We're still looking at options, but I just wanted to share that with all of you. Not very many people complain about that, but just in case you hear a complaint, we're working on a popcorn machine. So Mr. Vickers.
Did you say popcorn or cop corn?
Oh, well, you know, I guess that's pretty smooth. So let me talk about the next thing. Moving right along, the popcorn. Woo! Wonder if we can make that like gray and blue. Remember when we all used to go to the carnival and you could get different colored popcorn and stuff? Yeah, that's the popcorn. I love it. That's actually pretty cool, Jeff. It made your face red, too, probably mine. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed on that. Lots of requests. We've been able to fill them all. In fact, the Copsicle trailer's going out this weekend again. And we have the Pride event this weekend, and we are honored to be able to participate in that. We've made a lot of great strides in our relationship with the LGBTQ plus community, and in fact, I was at their meeting earlier this week, and they are just a very enthusiastic group, and we work very well together. So that's this coming Saturday. There's also Summer Jam up at Willow Park. We're participating there as well, and that's on Saturday as well. So just a couple of other important things to talk about. September 11th, 2026, at the Vermont Veterans Home is the 25-year remembrance of the events that happened on 9/11 in 2001. We have lots of things that are being planned for that. We've only had 2 meetings so far, but it is a morning that you will not forget if you are able to participate. And Clark Adams and Jonah Spivak and others are actively participating in making plans for that event. My lieutenant, sitting in the back, is here on vacation time. He will be actively participating in that as well, but there's many organizations. I met with several fire chiefs last night from the southern part of Bennington County, and they're looking forward to that as well. So that will be a large event. When asked by the military how many people we thought we would be on the grounds at the Vermont Veterans Home, Clark and I estimate that there'll be about 1,000 people there. The good news in all of that is well, we're going to make this very educational, and Mr. Payne, the superintendent of schools, has agreed to work with us, and the plan is to bring the students from the high school out, as you have figured out. Those students were not even born when 9/11 happened, so we're going to try to make this as educational as possible. And so we're really looking forward to that. And it's going to be a lot of work. There'll be some wreaths laid, and I'm not going to get into all the details because we want some of it to be a surprise. But we're looking forward to it. So what else is coming up this summer that's notable, because we do meet every other month, so I want to just get this out there. August 4th of 2026, I hope you'll all join us up at Willow Park. August 4th, 2026 is Bennington Night Out. We always seem to change things. On the national scale, it's known as National Night Out. Where you get to come and meet law enforcement officers and firefighters. We take it a step further. We invite our public works crew, as well as others. The ladder truck comes up, sprays lots of water, and we have our ATV unit on display. There may be some rides. Working with a local store, Walmart, to see if we can get bicycles again this year, like we did last year. Whew, that was a big hit. Giving away lots of backpacks that are stuffed. So, speaking of popcorn, we're going to go back to this. So we're going to be partnering with Walmart and the Bennington Banner, and we're going to be running a program called Cops, Ops, and Pops. And I know you're going to laugh, but that's what we've decided to call it. We have a special operations van that has been on display. It's not a secret. It's a very useful piece of equipment that when you see that out and about, that means that that something has happened or is about to happen in Bennington. And our goal is to fill that van with back-to-school supplies. So we've opted to put the van down at Walmart, and Walmart's opted to put out a display of colored pencils and crayons and regular pencils and pens and notebooks and everything right in the front of the store. And we're going to ask community members to come down, make those purchases, and bring them out to the van, and we're going to see if we can load that. So that's the ops part. The Pops part, you've already got it down. That's the Copsicle trailer. Walmart is going to supply the ice cream sandwiches and the Freedom Pops. We do not call them Bomb Pops. We call them Freedom Pops. And that will be there as well, handing out goodies as well as cupcakes. And by then, we should have our popcorn machine up and running, and popcorn machine up and running. I love it. I wrote it down. And then the cops piece is we're going to have law enforcement officers there from the Bennington Police Department to be on hand to greet people and thank folks for buying supplies. What are we doing with those supplies? We're going to put those supplies inside of backpacks that I'm working with the Bennington Banner to purchase 300 backpacks. Also working with Fina Auto Mall, which used to be called Bennington Auto Mall, and I just didn't want anybody to think we were going out of Bennington. And we're probably going to load up one of those nice shiny Nope, that's a Ford. We're going to load up one of those nice, shiny Chevy Silverado trucks with backpacks. Hopefully we need 2, and we'll be working with folks to hand out at least 300 backpacks. And there'll be a lot going on. If you haven't been to one of those events, you should probably come and really check it out. A lot of smiling faces, a lot of happy kids. There'll be some static displays of things, maybe a race car, maybe a helicopter. The helicopter is weather dependent. Just a lot going on. Lieutenant Grandy on the grill, and he absolutely loves it, and he doesn't burn the hot dog, so that's my favorite part. So again, there's I'm working with the banner, was over there working with Susan Plaisance today, just trying to figure out, people are actually calling and saying, hey, when's the backpack night? Well, we prefer to call it Bennington Night Out, so it is again, one more time, August 4th, 2026, and we're looking forward to a really, really good turnout. And in the past, folks, the Cparb folks have shown up and have been very strong. We're not allowed to discuss police business while we're there because it's not a meeting, and it's really great, and it's great for you to interact. And we will have sponsors, and there'll be hair cutting and things which I will not be in line for. And so those are some of the things that we're working on for the summer, in addition to everything else that we have going on. So I just wanted to share all of that with you. On a sad note, I made the decision along with my team that we were going to have to put off New Experience Camp this year, and I tell you that with a heavy heart. We've never shut down New Experience Camp. And but we only had 13 of 30 slots filled, and I talked to folks, and it's, I mean, and I was very disappointed about it. And Lieutenant Grandy came to my office. He said, "Boss," he said, please don't be upset." He says, "I've done my own homework on this. It's tough right now to get kids in camp. We did not even raise the price of camp this year. We discussed it, but we didn't do it. And we took a loss last year with camp, and we were able to, one of our vendors was able to return $5,500 to us, which I was very thankful for. The other vendor still fighting with, and we may be out a significant amount of money, but we're still working it. But it's not for any other reason. It's just a lot of staff time and different age groups. The phase 2 was pretty much full. It was phase 1, and I don't know what happened this year. And we were way out ahead of it this year, and I just don't think people have the money to do it with everything else. I mean, I know what I pay for groceries, Diane and I don't know. I just can't, I'm not making excuses, but I can tell you that the entire staff was disappointed. We tried to figure out ways that we could, maybe make something a little bit different. But there's just, transportation. We lost our transportation 2 years ago, and thank goodness for Do For Tours stepping up and making sure that we had transportation. So, because transportation's a big piece, you can't even rent a van, a 15-passenger van. It's like $1,600 for the week. And we don't set those prices, and we don't set the fuel prices and things like that. So, but we were ready to move on this, and I know that there's some disappointed kids. Some of the scouts that attend that were at Flag Day at the Elks. I was there 2 weeks ago. And one of the little kids came up and said, "Chief, why did you cancel New Experience Camp?" Oh, and it just crushed me. But I mean, the amount of staff time that goes into it, it's just, we just can't do it. So our friends at Crabapple down in Massachusetts, they did return our money, and which is good because it was over $5,000, like I said, and they're looking forward to next year. So we'll figure something out, and we'll get this going again. But I'm not going to stand up here and tell you all of the positive things that are going on and hide from you that we had to put off New Experience Camp this year. So we'll rebuild, and we had a lot of new things that we added this year. And of course, we don't tell the kids what those new things are. We just wait for them to come, and they get a schedule, and they know what's going on. So happy to answer any questions about that. But that's really what I have. Staffing, where are we at? Staffing, we have one person going off to the Vermont Police Academy this summer. She is very eager to get to the police academy. So we're still going to be down 5 officers. We are doing our best to recruit here in Bennington. We're taking a serious look at what other departments are doing, but it's difficult. It seems like the southern part of the state is used as a stepping stone, and people move on to other parts of Vermont or outside of Vermont. And so we're going to be working closely with the Select Board. I'm not going to get into any details yet because I haven't had a chance to meet with the Select Board, but that is coming. So once we have that opportunity and things become public, we'll put that information out there. We have some ideas, but it's really a challenge. Other things of note, Lieutenant Grandy and I were able to attend the FBI Leader Conference and sat through a lot of educational classes, and really the networking is where it's at, and listening to other chiefs, captains, lieutenants from around the country, and a big focus is recruiting and retention. We're still all struggling with finding good candidates. We are getting applicants, but where we struggle is the pre-application process, and when you start looking at expenses, and I said I don't want to get too deep into all of this, but I just want you to understand that we are working hard. When you start looking into what it costs to bring somebody on, and the physical, the pre-employment polygraph, which is required by the state of Vermont, and a pre-employment polygraph is $450. The back screening, the physical, the blood work, all of this costs a lot of money. So we do this pre-employment screening, and it's a lot of paperwork on the candidate's part, and then Lieutenant Grandy and I screen that, and if it's not acceptable, we don't go to the next level, because they're just not going to get by the polygraph. And we wouldn't expect people to get by the polygraph. We want people to be honest, and we need people that are going to be good law enforcement officers and make a career here in Bennington. And it is very possible. I'm in my 37th year. The lieutenant's been here a very long time. We've got people that have been here a very long time, but it's just like, I'm not going to throw the hospital under the bus, but it's just like, there are plenty of us here in this room that have had a doctor at the hospital, and then you get the notice in the mail that says, oh, hey, I'm moving on, I'm moving out west or whatever. I thought I had a new doctor, and myself personally, I'll put that out there, and then next thing you know, I get a letter in the mail, and I really like this person. So it's such a struggle, and it's hard, and it's not just in Bennington, it's really all over, and we'll do our best. You have my word on that. We are trying to do our best and bring people on board. The Chiefs Association just met last week. Lieutenant Grandy, I brought him to the meeting with me. We were able to, I know it's been a big question, you guys have all met, except our new folks, with Director Brickell from the Police Academy. He did address the attrition rate at the Vermont Police Academy. He had some things to say about people going to the academy and just not being prepared to be there. Physically, psychologically, they're only required to be at 50% for the PT test, and they're only required to graduate at 60%. But if you are not physically capable of getting through the PT test and all of the calisthenics that are required while you're at the academy, you tend to sustain an injury or what have you. So I think that the academy staff is doing what they can. So I want to just share with you, the academy staff has brought on a physical trainer, so that if things start to go south and a recruit needs to speak to someone or do different types of exercises to build some other type of muscle or do some other type of exercises, they actually have someone on staff now at the academy to help with that. And the good news is the director at the academy and the Criminal Justice Council, there was always a difference between what we called full-time certified and part-time certified. Now we call it level 1, level 2 versus level 3. And level 2 folks, and level 1 and level 2 folks are now required to pass the same physical requirements to get into the academy. And there's been some complaining about that. And there should not be any complaining about any of that. We want law enforcement officers. We all wear the same badge. We all wear the same uniform, and we should not be expected to have lower standards for people that work full-time but only have a level 2 certification. So as we get through our training, I'll explain more about what that means. But we, in Bennington, we try to put people through level 1, level 2, so that we know if they really want to be a law enforcement officer in Vermont. And and we've had people go through everything, and then it comes time and we're like, okay, are you ready to go to the full-time academy and get level 3 certified? And we've had people say, no, thank you. And then our other piece is, I got 1 minute. Our other piece is, we also, I'm very sad, for those of you that have lived here a long time or know, we really lost a lot when Southern Vermont College closed. I mean, that was really a recruiting tool for us, and because we spent a lot of time up there guest lecturing and doing different things at Southern Vermont College, engaging with the students, going to sporting events up there, and just, doing different kinds of things. So, all right, so that's what I have. I'm happy to answer questions from anybody about things that I've talked about or things that I have not talked about.
I think I probably asked maybe a similar question before, but with being down 5 officers, how do you manage that? Is it just strictly through overtime, or how?
So we call it creative scheduling. And we have staff, a majority of our staff are willing to move shifts around, but we also have, we have to pay overtime. And sometimes it's difficult to fill what we call 4120, which are extra duty assignments, which we'll get into during a training. But people have the ability to come and fill out forms and ask for Bennington police officers to work different events. We do manage to fill most all of those. But at the same time, we're a younger department. Some of our folks and their significant others are starting to have children and things like that, and they want to be home, just like we all wanted to be home, right? So it's something that we take a look at, and sometimes instead of just posting a detail or overtime on the board, it requires us to call people. We don't twist people's arms, we don't do anything like that, but at the same time, with the new UKG system that the town of Bennington is using for record keeping, time sheets, payroll reporting, however we want to say it, is going to have an opportunity for us once we get into phase 2 of UKG. We're actually going to be able to send out emails or text messages to folks and let them know. Like, we had a very late notice detail come in for this weekend, and for the people that are already on days off, it's tough because they don't get to see that detail unless we physically dial the phone and call them. So, it's little things like that. Technology is definitely a plus for us. It's just getting there. So, creative scheduling, why I say creative scheduling is, we have mandatory training that we have to complete, and that's one of the ways that we use creative scheduling. When we do nighttime and cold weather firearms training, we work hard to move people's shifts around, schedules around, so we don't have to pay as much overtime. But it's not overtime is not avoidable. I mean, that's just and even when we were at full staff, it was not avoidable. So we have a union contract that we have to follow, or a working agreement, and there are different things in there that make that we have to pay overtime to the folks that are covered by a working agreement.
Yeah, and I guess another question, which I think I've asked something similar, is if you have 5 open positions, and I would imagine then that's in your budget, is there a creative way to use that money that you're not spending on those officers, and maybe this is a select board question, to either recruit and retain and offer stay bonuses or things like that? If it's money that's been allotted, but those people are being asked to do more, can you somehow offset the pain with additional compensation, or is that not possible?
Yeah, I would ask Yeah, I would ask that you stand by on that.
Okay.
Because like I said, I do want to have a conversation with the select board.
Sure.
There's just, what we hear about is recruiting bonuses. And I like what Rutland did. They hand out retention bonuses. It doesn't need to be a ton of money, but that is an idea that we are going to float by the select board, because I think when you have money left over in the police department budget, instead of it going back into general fund, we can set up a reserve account and let our folks know, hey, if you've been with us for this many years and you've worked this many hours, we have it all written out.
Okay.
But so that is part of the plan, Jeff. I don't want to put it all out tonight.
Sure.
So, but it is part of the plan, but I appreciate you asking.
Thank you.
Chief, is there any progress on the recruiting of the data analyst?
So we are, so what we're doing is right after July 1st, we're going to work on that. The analyst has, right now, we have a computer that's set up. Our IT director has set that up. We have a location for the analyst, and I've completed a job description looking at other departments and their job descriptions, and after July 1st, when those funds become available, we're going to take a hard dive into that and see what's available as far as personnel.
I have a question. Our agenda includes, as part of your update, a CJC, VPA, BPD compliance.
You've got it in your, you have it in your packet, copy of it. It was part of the packet.
Okay.
So I didn't know.
You're referring to a letter?
This is the letter.
The letter of May 27th?
Compliance letter. Yes, of May 27th, 2026,
Then
yes.
I guess I have just a couple quick questions about this. During my professional career, I went through numerous audits, whether they were financial or quality system audits. And generally speaking, at the close of an audit, the auditor will sort of do a closing meeting with the entity that's being audited and point out, make suggestions, observations, or anything. Did that happen as part of this Rule 20 audit that happened earlier this year?
Yeah, one of the things that that came out of that was training with our training, and I didn't bring it up because it's not July 1st, but oh, man. So one of the things that came out of our review with the Vermont Police Academy was to make sure that we are doing hands-on training, virtual reality training, and where we're not just firing taser cartridges, we're not just firing ammunition, we're not just going hands-on and taking each other down on the mat. And so what we did was we worked with Axon Enterprises, and I actually today, before I came here, Sergeant Burnham, who's been placed in charge of that, you all get to experience this. Okay, you need the air conditioning on. I got very hot when I was doing it. I'm not really sure why, but we're gonna let you try it. I'm not gonna force you to try it, but if you want to try it, I want you to see where technology has brought us today. But one of the things that we were spoken to about was to make sure that we have realistic training going on, and not just going to the range or not just taking each other down on the mat, like, scenario-based realistic training. So we have invested money in that. And if you remember, It was one of the things that we talked about at budget hearings back in January, and we were able to work with Axon, and the equipment is at our office, and we are going to show all of you what that equipment looks like and how it works, and I think it would be wonderful for the community to see that as well. When I did it today, I mean, I've seen this equipment at trade shows, but I'm just extremely pleased that that the select board said yes, and that our community members said yes by approving our budget. And so we're gonna start using that. So that was one area that we needed to, I think, improve upon, was having different options. And you are going, and part of this is, being able to talk to targets and talk to individuals that are involved in scenarios. And so we're really looking forward to this. Today was my first day. I'm feeling good about it. I really am feeling good about it.
For people who may not know, Axon is a supplier of the body wearable cameras.
We don't know. So good question. That's a great question. So we are still using, we like Motorola as far as body worn cameras go. We've had great success with the Motorola cameras. Axon provides us with our electronic control devices and this virtual reality training equipment. So some departments use Motorola. There's a lot of different body-worn camera companies out there. You can get the camera, you can get the glasses. There's just a lot. So with that being said, so virtual reality training, hands-on training, realistic training, scenario-based training, that's where we want to be. And so we're driving forward with that.
And I had to educate myself. Rule 20, every year, I guess by the end of March of the following year, you have to file a report with the Criminal Justice Council.
Correct. And
do a couple of things. Obviously, you have to provide records of all of the training of all of the personnel in the department, but you also need to provide current copies of all of the procedures.
Correct.
And is it correct that all of your procedures that are listed in this Rule 20 compliance document were up to date and current?
Yes, we were found to be in compliance.
Okay. And did you receive anything other than this letter in the way of a report following the audit from the auditors?
As far as?
Did you get an audit report, a written report?
That document that you have in front of you was the audit report that we received from.
Okay, and so this letter says that you're compliant with Rule 20.
And our policies.
Which is part of Rule 20 is
correct.
Policies. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Just as a point of clarification for the community, the letter states that for 2025, no deficiencies were identified that would affect your agency's standing under Rule 20 at this time. Your agency is therefore considered compliant for the year, and then should additional documentation or clarification be required, then please contact the Director of Administration and Compliance with the Vermont Criminal Justice Council. So just as a point of clarification for the audience.
So can anybody from the audience, can anybody from the audience contact them then, if they have questions?
No, this should additional documentation and clarification, this is directed to Chief Doucette.
Just to Chief?
Yeah.
So
they would go through Chief Doucette if they wanted additional information.
So if we wanted some additional information, like an audit report, could we ask you to obtain that from them?
Yeah, I'm not sure what else I can get from them, but I can contact the director and see if there's something else. If you know what you're looking for, I can certainly ask.
A comprehensive audit report of what was evaluated?
Beyond this letter, you're asking for something beyond the letter?
Correct.
I don't know that there is.
I can reach out to Director Brickell or Director Thaverge and see if there's some other document. I don't know if there's anything specific that you're looking for.
Just a comprehensive audit report.
I wrote that down. Yep.
Mark, I think you had a question?
Yes, Chief, do you have any type of auxiliary or reserve police officer programs in Bennington?
We do not.
Okay. The reason why I asked is I was a reserve officer for 20 years, and the benefit of having a program like that is we get a lot of young, new recruits that are volunteers that help the officers at parades and non-official police work, if you will. But the retaining of officers from that programs were very beneficial because you had kind of like first dibs on people who were actually interested in going into law enforcement. I'd love to discuss it with you further, but I was just kind of wondering if you had a program like that at all.
We do not. I know, I did not grow up in Vermont. I came here to go to Southern Vermont College in 1986. Where I came from, we did have what we called reserve police officers, and they basically were the officers that went out and did the traffic details. Yep. And things like that. That seems to, in my tenure here at the Bennington Police Department, we've not had that. What we call that, level 2 certification in Vermont, but our union working agreement states that this is just an example. Mm-hmm. Our union working agreement states that all those details have to be posted and are filled by level 3 officers unless it is within 5 days of the event. And if the event is not filled, then a level 2 officer, the lieutenant or I, can sign up to work those events. I also know that where I'm from, they got to work like carnivals and different kinds of things, and they would shadow the officers, yes. Right? Yep. And they would be allowed to carry a firearm and handcuffs and pepper spray and things like that. And I'm honestly not aware of any departments in the state. And I'm going to look into that. But I was born and raised here, but I spent most of my adult life in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So obviously the reserve program I was in had 35 officers alone. Yeah, I've not in my career here. We've not had that. The Vermont State Police, as an example, they have what they call the auxiliary trooper program. But again, they have to go through level 1, level 2, and they're allowed to do things like snowmobile patrol, ATV patrol, and but they also have teams where their full-time people get to go out and do stuff like that. Another example, Fish and Wildlife. Or the Warden Service, as they call it now. They do have deputy game wardens that receive a $1,000 a year stipend, and like around hunting season and stuff, they'll actually go out with the game wardens and help them out. But again, you've got to get to that level 2 certification so that you have full arrest powers and things like that. So it's really a great question. I have lots of colleagues around Vermont, and I can put my feelers out, and at our next Chiefs meeting, I'm going to ask if anybody has a reserve program and get back to you, Mark. I'm just not aware of anybody doing that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does the board have any other questions?
How much volunteering is done at the Copsicle, the police events that you have for community policing?
We need to get better at that. We need to get better at tracking that, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of volunteering, folks coming in on their days off. We seem to get more people to volunteer at Copsicle and different events. When we let them dress like Cam and I are dressed tonight, dress down a little bit, so not wearing all that heavy equipment and things like that. So it is quite a bit. At one point we were tracking, the police association was tracking that, and but we don't, like, for example, we don't offer any incentives, like, it's not like, hey, you hit 100 hours of volunteer time and you get an extra personal day or whatever. But it is a lot, and it's great to see the interaction. Scott, you've been to Bennington Night Out. You see the folks flock to the police and want to ride the ATVs with the police and get a backpack full of school supplies and get cotton candy and popcorn and, again, Lieutenant Grandy on the grill there. And there's just so much. But I know that's kind of a bad answer, a lot, but it is a lot. It is.
I think with an understaffed police force, that's huge to have the volunteer capacity of the police officers.
Yeah,
they're really doing a lot.
For Mark and Tom, and I don't know if I ever mentioned it to others, like our Isaac compound for animal control and storage, impound, that was all done pretty much with volunteers from the police department. The building of the animal control building, the building of the dog training yard. Although an Eagle Scout project, a lot of my folks volunteered for that. We had volunteers from Manchester PD, Winhall PD, that all came down to help us with that project. And that's just one project. The Copsicle trailer is, that could in the spring and in the summer, that could be a real part-time job for a reserve police officer or two, and I think that's a great question. But there's not really, even with the UKG system, we've actually talked about having a spot where you can note volunteer time, and I don't think we made it anywhere. I'll have to consult with Cam here in a few minutes, but there's got to be a way to, other than the old hashtags or whatever of who came in, or usually when you work one of these events, we've been all over this summer. Lieutenant Grandy and I were up at Crown Point with the Copsicle trailer and doing a highway safety event, handing out, we had a bunch of high school kids there. We were handing out popsicles, ice cream sandwiches. We were cooking hamburgers. We were cooking hot dogs. It's kind of like a road show, and we had a great time doing it. So it's not only volunteering at the event. It's getting everything set up and getting everything ready for the events. So yeah, great question. I just don't have an answer.
And just one more thing, how about the Sheriff's Department? Are they able to take up some of the slack? What's the relationship there?
The Bennington County Sheriff's Department, they have contracts with different communities. With Bennington, we have our own police force. We operate 24/7. They have different hours of operation than we do, I don't necessarily think that we need the state police at this point or the Sheriff's Department to pick up any slack. We're not slacking here. I mean, if you were to call the state's attorney's office, we're still producing a very high caseload for that office, and we're still holding our own. Would I like to see a little less work per officer? Yes, but at the same time, we're holding our own right now, and we're making some progress. So we'll see.
Any questions from the audience? No? All right, thank you. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. Again, welcome.
All right. I'd like to move us now to the yearly review of our procedures. In your packet, you have a Community Policing Advisory Review Board practices. And just the first item is an agreement on terms of member engagement, the public meeting, open meeting law, established policies and protocols, terms of communication with town officers, actively participate in identified tasks, and responsive to chair requests, which just means that you answer the email, that you check your email on a regular basis. That's always helpful. Want to review our goals and practices in our, and activities, I should say, in our resolution. To keep in mind that community policing is a collaboration between the police and the community, and that we're in partnership with the Select Board, the Town of Bennington, and the Bennington Police Department. So you have, I would hope that you've read through these goals, and we are, at the next meeting, we're going to be reviewing a process for review that's both Jesse and Lydia created, a review in Police Department policies and procedures. We're going to review the Cparb training tonight. You've got a document that's in your packet for that. We've not received any complaints in, we're going on two years. We didn't have any in 25, and so far in 26 we have had no complaints either, so there's nothing to review there. We reviewed the townwide safety data. We're going to do that tonight, but also we reviewed the town survey data in addition to this that looked at neighborhood and town concerns around safety. We did that at the last meeting. We have not looked at state and national data trends. We're really hoping to use the analyst for some of that, just given access to national data on that. And then we've had our public meetings in terms of community safety and equity issues. And so the activities that you have on the second page of this is wondering if you have any questions. I'm hoping that at our August meeting, we can talk in some detail about initiatives that we might propose for this year in order to meet these activities and adjust this activities. The other item that's in here that I want to mention is just that we have to review our training for, with the department, so we'll go over that list tonight. And just to confirm, and this is under further considerations on page 4, that Cparb does not have the power or authority to investigate, review, or otherwise participate in matters involving specific police personnel or specific police-related incidents. So while we will review those complaints, there's a limit to what we do in terms of engaging that. Any thoughts, questions about that from the board? No? From the audience, does the community have anything? Clark, please. And please identify yourself. And yes, we know who you are, but you know.
I understand. For the record.
It's the protocol.
Yeah, no, for the record, Clark Adams, resident of Bennington. As you all know, I am a select board member, but I am not here tonight speaking in that capacity. Your introduction to what Cparb's role was in relationship to select board, police department, and so forth, that seemed a little confusing to me. I was under the impression that Cparb was a sub-element of the board and not co-equal or coexisting with the board. Could you clarify that statement?
It's actually, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I know when you were a liaison, you brought that up a couple times. It's right here in, under goals, it's the first sentence under goals. It says, in partnership with the Select Board, Town of Bennington, and the Bennington Police Department, the Cparb has the following goals. And then under activities, it says, in collaboration with BPD, the Cparb will, and then it lists some activities, okay? And that's, as best as I've been able to determine, that's all it says about our relationship to the Select Board. So it's in partnership.
Okay.
And so while I have not read that as separate from, I see it as connected to, as a partnership. But I'm open to
Is there an opportunity for us to alter that language or make it more
explicit in some way?
explicit in our relation to being a branch or a reporting to the select board?
Yeah. I think that it's an important consideration, and if that is the only thing that we're going to change in our resolution, that, because we've talked about this before in other contexts, that I would bring that to the chair of the select board, and in terms of the language that we want changed, and then that's Tom Haley, and then he would bring it to the select board. However, if there's other things that we find that we want to change, for example, one of the items on our agenda is to talk about, discuss, and determine whether we want to have two adolescents, two high school kids, be a part of Cparb as the Energy Committee has done. That would be a change, another change in this, and might involve a number of different aspects of the resolution. We would bring both of those to it. So we might want to hold off a little bit.
What about, I did see in here about how if you are inactive for 3 months, then you will be removed. 3 months is one meeting if you are counting the last day of one meeting.
Depending on when you count.
Right. So if we're only having meetings every other month, how does that factor into that?
Well, I think we would want to be generous in that and have 2 meetings, and, you know, like for now, if they were inactive for June and August, 2 consecutive meetings, then we would, because that's a 3-month period, right? rather than to start in a meeting in a month where we don't have meetings. I mean, we can be more specific. I think we can I think that's a point of clarification that we can bring forward in the resolution if the board so desires. But I think you're raising a point that is beyond maybe what Clark is raising right now.
Sure.
And that's that we should probably keep, and I'm happy to do this, a running list of things that we might want to change in the resolution. And we could have maybe a subgroup take a look at that more in detail. But that's not what we're doing tonight. Yeah.
Let me just comment that changing the resolution would not happen at this board, but
No.
making recommendations to clarify it
Yeah.
would be something that this board should do. And Kate, I think you're right in the way that you would go about that.
Yeah.
So in any recommendations that may be made to changing the language of the resolution, I would suggest that that language, the purpose of those changes is to clarify the work that this group is doing.
Right.
I think Mr. Woods and, of course, Kate hit the nail on the head with the word clarification. You know, so much of what we encounter here is kind of obscure interpretations of what was really meant or what should happen. So I like the word clarification to address that. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from the board about the resolution?
If we're going to make it an activity of this board to review the resolution and identify clarifications that may be needed, it would be better not to do that piecemeal.
Correct.
And if that's going to be something that we're going to decide we're going to do, then we should set a time frame for when we're going to do that. So, and then we could, rather than go to the select board periodically with, oh, we thought of something else.
No, I agree. That's why I mentioned that we should keep a running list of these things and then put them all together. And then, depending upon the extent to which it's either a clarification for our purposes or an actual change in in a particular goal or activity or an addition to something similar. I mean, when we changed the March 22 resolution, which was the original, to the January 25 resolution, which is the one we're currently operating under, there were a significant number of changes. And not just to language, but to clarification and additions to the goals and the activities, as well as the evidence that we would need under what is called materials for review. That section was not in the original. So that's in addition. And then there were a number of clarifications that happened. And so that's why I mentioned if that's something that the board feels we want to engage in, a complete sort of revisions, then we would need to have set aside an entire meeting for that, right?
I guess what I'm saying, I think one of the things we're going to talk about upcoming agenda items, and I think it would be an excellent thing if we as a board here at the beginning of a new session, if you will, put it on our list of things that we want to accomplish this year, which is to conduct a review of the resolution and identify and recommend any clarifications to that. And that would be one of what could be a number of things that we want to get done in the coming year.
Yep. And in fact, that's under number 3 in your practices, as well as 4, when we're talking about planning is consistent with the board charge, principles of community policing, and the yearly goals are consistent with board charge and priorities of Select Board, that's to do that. So when we get to upcoming agenda items, please remind me that, and I'll put it under there. All right, thank you. Are there any other questions on the resolution? Otherwise, we'll move to the review of the required training. Okay, then let's move to the required training. You've got a list. There's a number of things that are on here. And I wonder if you have any thoughts, questions, additions. To be honest with you, I hope not, because there's a lot there. But what are your thoughts? For those of you who have had the training and the 2 new members, this is what training you'll have. And given your collective experience, if there's something there that you thought you would get and it's not there, or that you think you should have, now's the time to speak.
I think we should have something on here that says we get trained on the policies and procedures of the police department, or at least see them.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of policies and procedures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be careful.
Yes.
As a
yeah.
Select Board member, I would be
Yeah.
careful.
Okay.
We're not here to manage the police department.
Okay.
No.
Is animal
Thank you.
control considered part of the police department,
Yes.
even though it's kind of a sub?
Yeah, animal control is part of the police department because the animals that animal control has in their, I'm going to call it possession, in their custody, sounds a little strange for a dog, but these are animals that are either at risk or at risk to themselves and maybe others. Let's put it that way. And so that often, or can more often than not, involve some legal issue. Yes.
This may be something that would be on the list of clarifications
Okay.
that we might want to suggest on our resolution. The resolution as currently drafted, I believe, says that the training of new members is to be completed within 9 months.
Let's see. Yeah, 9 months, within 9 months of appointment.
Right, so,
Yeah, that probably needs to
and
be
also
changed.
just, the fact is that there are 2 of us here who have been on the board for a year, and our training is still not completed.
Right. Well, and that,
So,
yeah.
I guess a clarification or suggestion may be that there be a bit tighter timeline for getting that training done. Now, I understand some of it can't happen until the completion of the background check. So I guess as part of this, I would suggest that if we can get the background checks, get the work that we need to do, fingerprinting, and get it submitted where it needs to be submitted to the FBI to get the background check going as ASAP, then that's going to control, to some extent, how expeditiously we can complete the training. Another clarification about the training is our resolution requires that, trying to remember where it is. but-
It's actually on the same page above. Are you referring to the election of officers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't
that's-
serve, you can't be a chair or vice chair of the board unless you've completed the training. The question is, it's not clear which of this training must be completed in order for that to be the case. And if we can identify that, then we can focus on getting the most important training done earlier in the process than later.
Yeah, I think the way it's written is it's all the training.
It's all the, yeah.
And maybe that's not what the intent was, but
Yeah.
that's the way it's written.
Well, and that we would need clarification, because there's, for example, members without the FBI background check and fingerprinting could go ahead and have the open meeting law training, and they could get their ethics training in. The police training, I think, though, has got to be, like, when we did the human resources, it was combined with the work agreement and several other items, so in order to capitalize on
That was
time.
not, the work agreement wasn't covered.
Some of it was. Some of it was. And because the chief wove that in when we were talking to Michelle Johnson for the human resource training. I guess my point is that there are some training that we might be able to go ahead because they're online. And the police department, and the police department does not oversee those. That's part of the normal practice among, for all board members in the town. But Chief, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add, for the people at home watching this, for the people in the audience, and for the new people on the board, when we first started the Community Policing Advisory Review Board, a lot of this training was done on weekends, full days on weekends. And one of the things that we heard from folks was, people would be staring out the window. We were at the library, for example, and people were like, it's such a beautiful day. So then we tried to condense it down to 3- and 4-hour blocks. We brought in outside trainers, and the town of Bennington paid a lot of money. Lieutenant Grandy and I trained under one of the trainers so that we could train all of you. And then that person kind of dropped off the face of the earth, and we haven't heard from that person in a very long time. So we do our best to get the training that all of you need. This last go around for Jess and Lydia, the first big holdup was the state of Vermont and the FBI background check and getting all of those documents back. Today, I went over and I saw Michelle Johnson, and I told her that we were having a Community Policing Advisory Review Board meeting tonight, and that to be prepared, because this summer we were going to try to make things happen a little bit quicker so that people don't get frustrated with Lieutenant Grandy and I. It is not on us. So Tom and Mark, you're going to get a hold of Lieutenant Grandy, who I already told you was here on vacation time, because we don't ever get a break. We're not union employees. So, you're going to get a hold of him by leaving him a voicemail message. You're going to come in, you're going to get your fingerprints done. We're going to get those sent off as quickly as possible. And when those come back, we're going to start training. Albeit was short notice, we really wanted to finish the training with Lydia and Jess and another Cparb member, and it was too short of a notice, and I apologize for that. I have to work around my schedule and filling the gaps, and we put it all together. We've had people come in. We've had Director Burkell in the past. We've had Erica Marthage. We had Kim Krozik, our animal control officer, who came in and talked about being part of the police department and things that we do. So we break it up a little bit so that you don't have to hear from just Lieutenant Grandy and I. These guys are waiting to hear from Detective Sergeant Burnham, and he also is our lead firearms instructor and our lead electronic control device instructor and our virtual reality instructor. So there's a lot. We want you all to, you got an opportunity to hear from Officer Morawski about Grizzly, and now Tom and Mark are going to have to hear from Officer Morowski, and so there's a lot. I mean, the makeup of this board just continues to change, and it's almost like turnover at the police department. It's frustrating. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to stand here and be like, oh, it's going to be okay, because it's frustrating, because it seems like we take 3 steps forward and we take 3 steps back. And it's not anyone's fault, but it all has been put on Lieutenant Grandy and I to set this up. So, as I said, knowing that this meeting was coming tonight, I went over and I saw Michelle Johnson, who's our Director of Human Resources and Contracts Administrator, so that we can get things going. We're going to try to get this done, but there are certain things that have to be met before we can put you out in a police car or put you in our new communications center and things like that. So please don't sit here. I just want to make sure, Kate, that we're not, and Ed and everybody else, that we don't lose Mark and Tom because we're sitting here talking about when are we going to get trained. We have to follow the rules. And if I put you in our communications center, and you haven't been cleared, that's me that can have an Act 56 violation filed against me, and I'm not willing to do that. Sorry. And if you, Mark, have had experience as a reserve officer or with a group of people, you know that there's CJIS compliance and things like that. You guys are going to have to take a test. We had a great time I thought we had a great time when we did some training, and people knew the answers to the quiz. I was impressed with the group, but that's something new that we just kind of did with this group. You used to kind of take these classes on your own. We want you guys to be on par and be up to speed with the things that are going on. I can take you on a tour of the police department. I just can't leave you in the communications center for a long period of time. So we'll get you to where you need to be, and I know what you're thinking, 9 months is a long time. Or we go back to the way we used to do it, and we can spend a couple of weekends together. But that did not go over well, and we don't want to lose any more people on the board. So I'm assured by the chair of the select board that we have a good makeup of this board now, and hopefully people will stick around. So please just be patient. So the biggest reason why I stepped up is Mark and Tom. Lieutenant Grandy is your guy. There's your first step. And for Jess and Lydia, we have a list, and we're ready. You're so close to getting done. And I know it's been a year, and it's frustrating to Lieutenant Grandy and I as well. We both have sticky notes on our walls about things that need to get done. I'm a big sticky note guy, and I look at it every day, and it's frustrating. So again, we're doing the training. We're not paying somebody to do the training anymore. It was quite expensive to bring somebody here to do the trainings, and I think that we're capable, and I think that you'll find that we are somewhat fun, but we can educate you at the same time, answer your questions. You're going to go on ride-alongs. Everybody wants to go on a ride-along. Probably not so much you, Mark, because you've experienced it. But Tom, you're going to want to get out there, and you're going to want to do your thing, and sometimes it's boring, sometimes it's not. And so anyway, please just bear with us. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna drive through this, and before I retire, I'll have all of you trained. Thanks.
Can I just comment, Kate,
Yes,
on
sure.
this subject? So I was involved in the new resolution that was released in January 25. I joined the board in 23, so I came in and became familiar with the 22 resolution. But inside that, this is a deeper look, and I know that we want the chief and the lieutenant to lead this. There is nobody better. So hiring people from outside, it's expensive and it doesn't deliver the local knowledge. It's just that simple. Is there anything here that has become unnecessary or less necessary as you all have been seated for a year, some of you seated longer. Kate, with your oversight, are there things on here, and that's not a question for tonight, but this is an awful lot of stuff. And when I think about the activities that, when I compare it to the resolution, I think about the activities that this board committed to undertake, there's an awful lot here.
And that's kudos to Kate and Jeff and Scott and people that have been on this board that have stuck it out, because they add to this list, because they run into situations and they want to know a little bit more. And I think, I don't quote me on this, but I think, Jess, you were one of the first ones to ask for a copy of the working agreement, and, or at least a chance to review that.
Is that, the working agreement is the same as a CBA?
Yes.
Thank you.
And right now, we're in this hang-up because the folks at the police department, which is probably all but 3 of us, are part of the working agreement, and they're looking to change unions. And so we're in a little bit of a snag. That vote happens on the 30th of this month, and they're looking to change. They're looking for some support from a different union. When I first started, we were with AFSCME, and then they went to the New England Police Benevolent Association, and now we're looking to, not we, but they are looking to go to another group. And in Vermont, if you want to do your research, it doesn't happen like that. You have to have a union that will sign off and say, it's okay, bye-bye. And right now, the New England PBA is not saying, it's okay, bye-bye. They want to, they're fighting it for Bennington PD to pull out. So, and Rob Morowski, our K-9 handler, is the chapter chair, and I can certainly schedule him to come in and talk about at another time the working agreement and where we're at. But I'd like to just get through this vote, find out if we're switching, and the reasons for that. And these folks pay a lot of money every week to be part of a union, and if they're not getting the help and support that they need to focus on rates of pay, health insurance, and looking at what other agencies are getting in Vermont and things like that, I mean, it doesn't behoove us to stay with the New England PBA. And I would prefer that you hear all of that from Officer Morowski, but the thing is, it would be great for him to come in and explain to you the reasons for the change. Jeff?
Not related to that, but if we're going to do an upcoming agenda item to review, can we just add this list of training, and if there's things that don't need to be there, that we make that at the same time? That's all I was going to say.
Sure. I mean, there's no reason not to, so, okay. Any other issues for the chief?
Just one
No,
one
it's okay.
final comment. Some of the items on this training list have how long that particular module of the training is going to take. Others don't. Now, I understand that it's good to have some flexibility to allow for discussion and questions. However, you can do that and still say, this is 30 minutes, this is 30 minutes, and just make that clear at the outset that we're going to comply with this, because if somebody comes to us and says, we're going to do 6 things, and there's no amount of time indicated for how long that's going to take. And for those of us who have families and other obligations, it's hard to schedule if you have to schedule something that has no time limit.
Right, and we've tried that in the past, And we don't want to come and talk at you, Lydia. It's supposed to be an exchange of information. I want you to be able to ask me as many questions as you can, or ask the lieutenant, or ask animal control, or Detective Sergeant Burnham. We've done some pretty great trainings that have gone on for 4 hours, and we've said, oh my goodness, we didn't get to these last 2, we'll have to add them. So, I mean, if you want us to put a time on there, we certainly can, because we've done it enough times, but it always seems to be different.
Well, it's not my decision alone.
I say we just add it to that
Something
upcoming agenda.
something to be
Yeah,
keep in
discuss.
mind when we have that
Yep.
review.
Add it to that.
Thank you.
And
You're welcome.
I just have a bit of I don't know if it is possible, but a possible recommendation for the communications piece and the communications center, if you have, I'm blanking on the person who trained. Kim, yes. She did a great job training us on the communications piece, and she was, from my experience, I was going into the center, and she was kind of leaving when I went in. It would have been really great if that training had happened right there, and while she was maybe off of her, just about to exit, and someone else was coming on, if she could be that person who shows you kind of in real time and explain the context that was in those slides, that would reduce some of that time sitting in front of a spreadsheet or, a PowerPoint.
Understood, point well taken, but we also had this set up so that you would know more about the communications center, Jess, and then have your time as an observation period in the communications center. Some of you have had some great experiences in there, and you don't realize how busy it is when we're dispatching for multiple communities,
Right.
multiple agencies. We now have the ability to communicate with New York. There are some things on the horizon which we're definitely not talking about right here, right now, that are coming down the pike. And but it is a point well taken. But
Not that she would be doing it while she's working, but to have like that third person kind of explain what everybody is doing.
Yeah, so your recommendation would be, and I understand I'm not taking away from your point, Jeff, I just want to answer this, okay? What I'm hearing you say is that maybe when Kim does her piece, maybe we take some of that information from her. Maybe we do it in the conference room at the police department, and then that final hour, just to get you started, we move into the communication center so you can see part of it, understanding that you've got to come back and do 3 more hours. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Never mind.
The challenge, I think, is, and this is, I think, a larger context, a larger discussion of process and policy procedure, because both, in this case, I'll use the training that happened with Jesse and Lydia, they both would not go into the communication center to observe. It could only be one person, because they actually sit with, just for the point of clarification for the audience, they sit with a communication specialist and observe how they manage their various screens, observe how they communicate with both a resident, someone who's called, an officer who's called for information, all of the various details of the maps. So it's and so they're quiet, but it can only be one person who is one of the trainees who is in that observing with a particular specialist. In most cases, it's Kim.
Yeah, that's a point well taken, too. And, if you haven't been in there, we've changed things so much in the last couple of years with all of the monitors and things. So let's talk about that. Not tonight, because we have other things to cover, but points well taken, and I get it. Sometimes it's, while it's fresh in your mind, you want to do it, but Lieutenant's in my left ear, and his comment was it would only be doable for one person, because we can only bring one extra person in there. It's not a huge area, and especially with our new desks and our new equipment. So, and I think, Mark, I don't know what you're used to seeing, but we have definitely come a long way with our communication center, and you'll be impressed. Everything's touch screen now, and no more. You don't. There's a mouse backup, but you'll like it. It costs a lot of money. I'm impressed with it, and I'm impressed with my staff too. I mean, they picked it up. So, okay, but points well taken. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The only other item under training that I just want to go through really quickly is the last of this with his board expectations. So the expectation of the board is that everyone reads through the meeting preparation packet. You're emailed that from the town, as well as it's posted for residents, for the community. Email response, as I mentioned earlier, you want to check your town email regularly. The chair needs a timely response, because very often I'm waiting for something from one of you, because I observe open meeting law, in order for me to move forward. There's no reply all. You'll see that in your open meeting law. So you just have to be careful with that. We never have more, except for the chair, when I send it out to everybody. There should not be more than 3 people, because 4 is a quorum. And we don't want to have a quorum on our email, so you want to be careful with that. And then we observe Robert's Rules of Order, which means that if you need to use your phone, you leave the table and you go out to the lobby and on the 3rd floor, wherever, and use your phone there, okay? I think that's it. Any other thoughts on the review? Okay, then let's move then to the next item, which is the analysis and discussion of the 2024 traffic safety data, a related report. So in your packet, you've got, because we want to do a bit of a comparison with the 23 traffic safety data that we presented at last June's Cparb meeting, and this one, which is the 2024 data. Because we're going to be reviewing the report, we're going to be discussing the report, I wanted to make sure you were aware of the Census Bureau quick facts for Vermont. So the total number of cases for 2023 was 2,718, and for 2024 was 3,703. The average age is the same in both years, 40 years of age. The age range is the same, 14 to 94 years of age. Proportion male, and I rounded up on or depending upon where it was, rounded up or down. So it's 61% for each in terms of proportion of male. The difference was proportion of white. And so these are, keep in mind that Vermont does not allow racial information on your Vermont driver's license. I don't know what other states do. So that means the officers have to determine by observation what somebody is, unless, what ethnicity they are, unless it's specified on their driver's license. And I'm not familiar enough with all the states in the country to say which ones actually have racial data on there or not. So I apologize for that. I just don't know. So the proportion in 2023, the proportion of people who were stopped was 93% non-Hispanic white. And in the quick facts, U.S. Census Bureau in 2023 was 92%. It's important to identify, because this always winds up in research, as we know. It's always who you're comparing things to. Is it apples and oranges? Is it Macintosh to Empire apples? You know, you want to make it as similar as you possibly can. So who's your comparative other? In the country, in the U.S., in 1993, 58% of the population was non-Hispanic white population. In 2024, it was, for purposes of Vermont, it was 91%, which is the proportion of white that were stopped. And in the U.S., it was 57% non-Hispanic white population. The reason why I raise that is because the report uses the U.S. population. It doesn't use Vermont, even though all their data are from Vermont. They use the U.S. population, so very different comparative other. In fact, we may be the whitest state in the country. As best as I can determine, I think our closest is Wyoming, which is about 75%. So just as a point of clarification, okay? So I don't know if you've got questions on any of these. We talk about, because I didn't run any more analysis besides just crosstabs. So we've got driver sex by driver age. There is driver sex by driver race. The majority, as I mentioned, the majority of people who were stopped are white. The majority of people who were stopped are male. Any specifics that you want to take a look at and present? Otherwise, I mean, I'm not sure what you want me to identify. We have driver's age by reason for stop, and just as a point of clarification for the community, there's a moving violation, there's a vehicle equipment, you've got something that's called other. Reason for stop is investigatory, externally generated, or suspected DUI. In terms of outcome, there is a ticket, a warning, the arrest for a violation, arrest warrant, and no action taken. Was there anything specific you wanted? The proportion of people of color, I'm sorry, Lydia, did you have a question?
Go ahead. You were
I was just going to say the proportion of people of color is black, Hispanic, Asian Pacific Islander, and Native American, Alaskan Native. And as I mentioned, unless that's indicated on their driver's license when they're stopped, it's the officer's perception of what ethnicity they are. Because they aren't asked. That's taboo. Can't do that.
So just a couple questions, Kate.
Sure.
The data that you're using is coming from the state? My understanding is that it comes from Bennington, and these are the stops that they have. So Cam is the one who puts this all together. He sends it to the state, and I get it from Cam. So it's my understanding, the reason the most recent data we have is 2024, is that, and Cam, correct me if I'm wrong, the way it's set up is the individual agencies need to report their data to the state the deadline is September of the following year.
The deadline,
So-
it's correct.
We're
always a year behind.
So we would not yet have submitted or be required to submit our data to the state, nor would anybody else in the state
That's
until
correct.
September.
That's correct.
And that's why the most recent data is 2024.
That's correct. So right now, 2025 data is being analyzed, and that has to be submitted to the Vermont Criminal Training Council and the Office of Racial Equity by August of 31st of this year. So right now, we go through that. They give us an opportunity to look for any things that are not completed correctly. I do the audit myself. It's very painstaking and takes a lot of time, and I do that. I put it all together, I submit it to the chief for final review, and then it gets sent to those two agencies.
And by law, the specific information that individual agencies submit to the state, there's a requirement that we're limited.
That's correct.
As to what information we supply to the state.
That is correct.
Which means that the information that we are able to get is limited.
That is correct.
For instance, I don't, and I'm sure that this is data we have if we wanted to dig it out, stops by the state of the vehicle, the registration state of the vehicle.
Where the person is licensed.
Where the person's license
That is correct.
is from as well. We have that. I mean, we know that because when the stop occurs, that's part of the information that the officer would get.
That is correct. But that is not what is when we extract the information out of our records management system. There is a formula that we use that's provided that we have to use, and that's what we use to submit to the state.
Right. So one of the things that as I review some of the information here, various reports, is that that's too long. That delay of 9 months to submit the data from the preceding years, it's too much time. If we would be required to submit that data by the end of March each year for the prior year, would that be a problem?
It can't be. It's got to go through.
No, I'm just saying if the law was changed, if the state's requirements were changed, could we do that?
I do what Montpelier tells me to do. If you want to talk to your
Yeah.
Montpelier,
Well,
and
that may
Montpelier
be-
wants to change that, and they tell me that I have to have it done by March 31st,
Well, I wouldn't want to recommend or ask the state to set you up to do something that's not possible. I'm just saying, it seems to me that waiting till September to have the data is a long time.
I'm not sure why that date is chosen. I can't answer if there is a reason behind that or not.
Right. Something else that's missing from this data, but we certainly have, is my sense is that a lot of the traffic stops we make are on 279.
It's an excellent point.
And
the chief has spoken about that before.
And people on 279 are coming in from New York and in many cases bypassing Bennington and heading north to other parts of the state.
Or crossing the state.
That would distort the, Kate made a statement about the population distribution data that's used. Actually, according to one of these reports, what they do to try and figure out what the driving population is of a community is they look at accident reports. And they say, well, if X percent of the accident reports filed in Bennington were filed by people by Hispanics, then that is that we're going to say that represents what the Hispanic portion of the local driving population is. There are a whole bunch of reasons why that might not be the case. Which people are more or less likely to even call the police after an accident. If we knew how many of the stops were on 279, and we realize that a very high percentage of the traffic stops that our officers make are, I don't know this, I'm just hypothetically speaking, that would change the way we look at the data, because it would give us a better insight into why the data is the way it is.
I don't disagree with you. I think that when you're looking at the traffic stop data and you're looking at those couple of variables, where's the person licensed, what's the residency, and location of traffic stop, I think those are telling pieces of information that we do not collect. We collect it, we don't extract it in the report, and we do not report it.
But we have it.
That is correct. It's there.
And if we had an analyst...
Let me just interrupt here and just say there may be reason that it doesn't come back in a data dump. There may be reason. So this is up to the state, not up to us.
That is correct.
Some of it, Ed, I think, is what the state says we need to report.
Yep.
And some of it may also be, to your point, what the state feeds back to us.
Exactly. And so if we're going to propose a change, we know that we're going to be proposing a change to the whole state, not just us.
I'm just trying to take the discussion to consider these factors that can skew the data one way or another. Do you, and you may not want to make a judgment on this, but officers have to make a judgment about the race of the person they've stopped.
They have to, I wouldn't say judgment. I think that they have to make the best decision based off of what they believe that person that they pulled over, what their race is.
And it could be their name, it could be their appearance, it could be what state their license plates are from.
It's supposed to be
language,
what their appearance is.
Yeah, it could be, yes. So, thank you. So when we look at this data, we need to keep in mind that it's incomplete in terms of like, it would be great if I could say, show me the data, but exclude the stops on 279. And I'm not saying that.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying that it would be wonderful if we could do that.
I think the chief is prepared to speak a little bit on this.
Well, if you don't mind.
No, we took the painstaking, after the report came out from the UVM, we took the time to go through 710 traffic stops, one by one, and it took us a week.
Yeah.
So I'll give this to you. We can add this to an agenda if we want to, but I will give you the overview. 2024 review of Bennington Police Department traffic stops, 3,710. Of the 3,710, there were 315 people of color stopped. That includes Asian, Black, Hispanic, Native American, and 3,395 white people. With that being said, approximately 148 of the 314 traffic stops involving people of color occurred on U.S. Route 7 or U.S. Route 279.
I'm sorry, what was that percentage again?
148 of the 314 were on Route 7 or Route 279, so almost 50%. So, and as I've explained to the Cparb in the past, when you're running, we do receive, and I don't want to keep picking on Mark, but I think he knows the answer to this. When you receive highway safety grants, over $100,000 a year, and you have to focus on areas where there's high speeds. Lieutenant Grandy worked 2 weeks ago and got someone at 110 on Route 279. That's outrageous where this has a speed limit of 55. We're constantly getting high speeds up there. If we're going to have a fatal motor vehicle crash in Bennington, which I hope we don't, we have very significant injury crashes on 279 and Route 7. And that's where we're supposed to be focusing our efforts, where we know that there's a problem with speeding. Our distracted driving grant puts us, on Northside Drive. It puts us on South Street in front of the police department of all places. And we do apprehend a lot of violators there. So the situation is we went through all of these traffic stops, and we can, anybody can put a spin on data. And I'm very frustrated with Ms. Seguino and UVM for continuing to pick on Bennington. We are out, we get our highway safety money, we go out, we do our traffic safety, we do our enforcement efforts, and but they don't ever break it down like Lieutenant Grandy and I just broke it down for you.
And I hope you understand.
I don't think you are.
My intention is not to pick on Bennington.
But I'm telling you that 50% of the folks that are stopped that are of color are on those two roads. And I've explained to this group in the past, as well as the select board, that there are multiple reasons. When you are using a laser, and I'll take you out on a patrol myself. When you're using a laser speed detection device and you're detecting someone's speed at over 2,000 feet away, you have no idea what their race is. There is not, and I'll give you the answer that you're looking for, there is not a single state in this country any longer that puts a person's race on their driver's license. When I got my driver's license, I'm 58 years old. When I got my driver's license, it said I was Caucasian. Okay? I think actually it had a W for white, but, I think that we find ourselves in a situation where, people like Ms. Seguino put out a report, some people take it as gospel, and then it takes literally 5 days to go through every single traffic stop and be able to show that that's really not the case. We're not singling anybody out. 279 and Route 7 are dangerous roads, and I don't care who quotes me on that. The speeds are outrageous, and it's things like that people have to understand, that we go out, we enforce the law based on the observed violation. And so, when we look at this, I can tell you that, when you start looking at this, and we wanted to see how many people of color, how many vehicles actually got searched of the 315, and the answer to that is 8. 4 Hispanic, 2 Asian, 2 Black. Okay? 8. I mean, that is not outrageous. You have to have reasonable suspicion to make that search. You have to record the hit ratio on that, which means did you find contraband or not. And but we always seem to go backwards to Ms. Seguino's report, and I don't know what it's going to take for us to dig ourselves out from that. It was, Bennington did so much better during COVID. Because we weren't stopping as many cars, because we were told by the state not to stop as many cars because you had an exchange of a license, a registration, an insurance card, and it's kind of tacky to go up wearing black gloves, right? And then get into your car, take the gloves off, and write the violation, get a new pair of gloves, put them on. I mean, there were all these things, and I'm sorry? Fails went off. And during that time, Lieutenant's right, during that time, significant injury crashes and fatal crashes around the state of Vermont went up because we were instructed to slow down on the traffic enforcement. And not just Vermont, other states around us. New York is notorious. If you watch the news, Channel 10 and Channel 13 report out on a regular basis what the New York State Police do. And it's impressive. I mean, obviously they're much bigger, and I'm not going to go to the select board and ask for one of those new fancy Ford Mustangs, I'll tell you right now. But it's impressive. It's impressive. Yeah. It's impressive what they do. They report out on their stats after every single campaign. We used to do that in Bennington. The banner used to print what our stats were. Okay, so we're off the rails right now. My fault. But I'm sharing with you what those are. And Jess, going back to your question, would it behoove us to have an analyst? Oh yeah, and it's just because it would take the workload off of Lieutenant Grandy and I. We have other things to do. And Lydia, I don't think you're accusing us of anything. I'm just letting you know that we have the stats in house, and I'm happy to share these. Mr. Haley, chair of the board, recently asked for these. I provided the stats to him, and in this situation, I don't think that we're acting as a racist police department. Come join us, any one of you, and see what it's all about to stop vehicles. When you're getting their speeds at 2,000, 1,800, 1,500 feet, and we don't wait and say, let's see, they're doing 85 in the 55. Should we stop them? It's more like this. It's not a slow-moving target, right? So, so people need to stop and think about that. And when you get out there and you get to do your ride-alongs, ask an officer to take you up on 279 or Route 7. Do we spend a lot of time there? We do, because that's what our grants are about. We spend a lot of time on Benmont Avenue too, and depending on the time of day, this is in Alaska, we don't have, daylight for 22 hours a day. You don't know the race of the people that you're stopping, and as the lieutenant explained to you, it's the perception of the officer when you fill out the back of the complaint. You actually have to fill in the box, not check the box. But I am happy to put this on the agenda and talk about it some more. But I think your other questions, I just want to touch on. There are so many things, Lydia, that are due at the beginning of the calendar year, such as police training, and we never know when we're going to get audited on our police training. We were selected this year, great, and we did well. I think Director Brickell touched on that when he was here. In our policies and things like that. And I think his words to all of you was, Chief Doucette runs a pretty tight ship. So, and which I could not do without Lieutenant Grandy. But the bottom line is that I would love an opportunity to have a debate with Stephanie Seguino, a polite debate, because again, you can put a spin on any type of data. Think about this, and this is the last thing I'm going to say and let you ask me questions. If we had 2 fatal motor vehicle crashes in Bennington in 2026, and then next year we had 1, I could stand here and say, we reduced our fatal crashes in Bennington by 50%. And people would be like, wow. It's not wow. It's 1. right? So I think that those are things that we have to look at, and the work that was done that we had nothing to do with, the work that was done comparing 23 to 24, we had nothing to do with that. And when we received the report, I was impressed with the work, and we actually have saved that. So, again, I will stand by my department and the work that they're doing to make the roadways safe in Bennington. And if you have not noticed, agencies like the Vermont State Police have engaged and are more active right now than they've been in years on Route 7. And you don't, all you have to do is get a scanner or listen to a police radio. They're out stopping more cars now than they have in the last few years, which makes the roadways safer between Bennington and Manchester. Manchester is the same. Manchester PD is active with, they are receiving highway safety grants as well. We're pleased to be able to say that we're working with Manchester, Winhall, the Bennington County Sheriff's Department. They come out and do checkpoints with us, the agencies. So we're all working collaboratively to keep the roadways safe. And that's what traffic stops are about.
And I appreciate that you spent the time to go and dig into the data and prepare a data-based response to what could be interpreted in a much different way if one were so inclined. And as far as this board is concerned, we need to have this conversation. We need to ask these questions. This is the heart of why this board exists, is to make sure that we look at these things and give you an opportunity to do what you've done tonight and present the information that helps us better interpret what we're looking at. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for putting up with my questions.
Oh, I love to be challenged, and I know I don't think you're asking me anything that you shouldn't. I appreciate you actually taking the time to ask the questions so we can get the information out there, and I thank all of you. I started with that when I opened up, that I appreciate all of you, and I think it's good that we're open and we're transparent and we get the information out to the community. This report, and I'm going to say it, this report that came out from UVM, there was no pushback this time around. Even at our last Chiefs meeting, the Chiefs are frustrated because this one person in particular continues to put this stuff out there, and it seems like community members, such as yourselves, are finally listening and understanding what it's like to do traffic stops. I wish every community in Vermont had a Cparb, and I think that there's support for the police. But I'm going to tell you, if we do something wrong, I want to hear it. But I can guarantee you that we are not a racist police department, and we're doing what needs to be done to keep the roadways safe. Thank you.
Questions from the audience?
Can I just add one thing?
Yep.
Lydia, I think you're questioning, the beginning was the roadmap to exactly what we were on to present tonight. So we were absolutely, those were the things that we were already thinking internally, and you just started the conversation, so thank you.
Yes.
Clark Adams, Bennington, Vermont. For the public out there, I'm black. I've been in and around Bennington for 10 years now, and I talked to my wife, said, when I read that report, I said, I feel discriminated against in this town. I've never been stopped by the Bennington Police Department for anything. So I don't know what the deal is, but I will admit, 279, the Vermont troopers and I've had a couple of talks. And, they said, hey, 55. I said, you're right. Game over. I didn't feel abused or mistreated or inappropriately stopped because I was committing a traffic violation. But what really concerns me is the perception that our town is basically being slandered. I don't like it. I'm tired of hearing about Bennington being a racist town. I'm tired about hearing about Bennington having racist police officers. I'm tired of what I call the professional race industry enriching themselves on our backs. Just like the chief, if there's wrongdoing, I think most of you here would know me well enough to know that I'm not going to support it, and I'm not going to keep quiet about it. When I was part of the group that helped form Cparb, I remember looking at the complaints for the 3 years preceding our creation, and I saw 27 complaints in 3 years. But then I noticed 7 of them were on the same day from the same person. You just mentioned that you've gone a year plus without any complaints. In my mind, that speaks louder than the tripe these people at UVM in their faculty lounges are smearing on the walls of the toilet. I appreciate the police, I appreciate what you're doing, but more importantly, somehow the people of Bennington and the people of Vermont have to hear the truth and not some academic palavering that's enriching their grant writing opportunities. And again, I say thank you to the chief and thank you to the Bennington Police Department. And again, yeah, I've been stopped on 279 because I was wrong, and that's their job to stop. And it wasn't the chief's guys, but you know, hopefully they'll keep discriminating and not pull me over.
Thanks, Clark. And I guess that's why I identified the issue of who is the comparison, who is the comparative other. And if you're going to use a national sample to a national information to a state like Vermont around ethnicity, yet we've got to pay attention to the difference in just in terms of the population. Because not all stops are on 279. I mean, there is information down to the second of in the data. There is information on the addresses that were there, that are in there. I've never been asked to take a look at that. Thank you, appreciate that. Because it just, you know, something happened at 1 second after 12, may be different than something that happened in the morning versus 1 second after 12 in the afternoon. Anyway, is there any discussion on the report that has not already been identified or that you want? I know we're running late. We have another couple of items here, so there's nothing more to say about the report. No. All right, then I'd like to move on to the youth involvement with Cparb. I've had a brief conversation with Chris Bates, who is the current chair of the Energy Committee. I'm happy to engage him again as to the process. I've also reached out to Dare Cummings, who is the director of student programs like the ACT at the high school, and they're both interested in conversation, at least. So I'm happy to pursue that in terms of how Chris managed that process, and also the folks at the high school. If that's, so what do you think about that? What do you think about having youth involvement with Cparb?
Is that something we'd have to take to the select board?
Yeah, in the end, we would have to.
So
yes.
Could that be part of the discussion in the upcoming agenda item about?
I think it's a separate item because right now it is a completely different way, I think, of thinking about youth, and because there may be liability issues, like maybe they have to be 18 or something. I don't know that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because of some of the things that we deal with. So that the legal part of that for us is very different than the Energy Committee. because of some of the things. So there may be restrictions on their involvement when it comes, for example, to complaints, a review of complaints, right? Well, I don't know. In most cases, I don't think that would be an issue in terms of voting. But I think that that's a bigger conversation. So with your permission or with your approval, I'll reach out to Chris and see what information I can gather from him about the process, as long as that's something that the board is interested in pursuing.
Kate, how did it get on the agenda? The last board was interested in engaging with youth members?
Yes, yeah.
From my opinion on this is all I can offer you. It's a separate item. It's not a revision of your charter or your resolution. It's a separate item, and I think that it will be well received by the select board. I think that there's conversation that, willing to be had.
I make a motion that you continue researching.
Okay. Okay. Is there any discussion?
Just the question of what kind of training would we want those youth members to have?
Well, and
You
that
have a lot
would
of
be part-
questions, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions in there, but I think in my mind, the first thing is to talk to Chris and find out how they approached it, what they needed to do, and whether or not there's limits on what those students could do.
And if you end up with youth members, they may fit a different role than you all do, and they may fit a different role than youth does on the Energy Committee. So I think you have to go into it with an understanding of what you expect. What are you looking for from youth involvement? I could only guess, and I'm thinking really great things, but you're going to have to identify that.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions or discussion on that? Anything from the community? No? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? No? No, and no abstentions? All right. Then I'll contact Chris. Okay, thank you. Upcoming agenda items. We want to discuss the projects initiatives for the coming year. There's Lydia and Jesse put together a document for review of policies and procedures on the website. We want to review that, talk about that. We want to conduct a review of more thorough review of the resolution and a more thorough review of the training. With those two items, if you could please sort of delve down in there, and we could talk about that at our next meeting. Okay.
Still
Yes.
down into the training?
Yeah, the training document and the resolution.
So which things wouldn't be needed and
Or
new
which-
things we might want?
Yes, yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else that we should put on the upcoming agenda?
An update on the youth members? that
Yes,
you-
sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd be interested in having a discussion about the format of any forums that we may want to consider having.
Do you mean listening sessions, as we've come to be familiar with the term? When you say
No,
forum?
the forums, I think we had two in the past year.
Yeah, we
where
had the
we've
forum
had
on sentencing and the forum
a topic
on
and
youth.
then put a panel together and
Gotcha.
had a separate session and
Those that would come under projects and initiatives. Because we may not want to have any forums, we might want to do something else. So, but you might want to have forums, and if we want to have forums, then we want to review that
Well,
wherever. But
I think that's what we're...
under the
I
upcoming
think
agenda
we were talking
items.
about projects and initiatives, were we not?
Pardon me?
That's what we've just been talking about, is
Well,
projects.
we're not going to really talk about that. That's an agenda item
For next meeting?
for next meeting.
Yeah.
Upcoming agenda
You
item.
had made a couple of suggestions of things that we might want to talk about, and I thought, well, maybe I should make a suggestion.
Yeah, well, I'm just mentioning that if we want to talk about forums, we would do it under projects and initiatives.
Right, oh, I'm not asking to talk about it now.
No, that's right,
Yeah, we
that's
can
right.
Definitely
Okay.
talk about it.
Okay. All right. The announcements that we've got is the Gay Pride Parade and Block Party on June 27th, beginning at 10 a.m. We have the July 4th celebration that begins at 11 a.m. at the Bennington Battle Monument. And then before our next meeting, we also have the August 4th Bennington Night Out with the backpack giveaway. Okay, that's up at Willow. Is it going to be, it's at Walmart this year and not at Willow? No, it'll be at Willow Park. It's at Willow Park. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And then our next meeting is August 27th in the multipurpose room here. Okay. I'll entertain any other announcements.
I just want to say welcome to our new members. Welcome to Cparb.
Thank you.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Yes.
Yes.
Need a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.